Hi, I'm Mike Reeves-McMillan, registered hypnotherapist. This is a presentation I originally gave at the combined conference of the New Zealand Association of Professional Hypnotherapists and the New Zealand Association of Neuro-Linguistic Programming in June 2011. I set out to answer the question, how is it that you can sit in a room with someone, not touch them, give them no substances, and use no devices, and yet affect their physical health just by talking to them? Let's look first of all at the Greek mistake. Greek philosophers belonged to a slave-owning class. They didn't need to work with their bodies, and so they were predisposed to think of the body as being less than the mind. Even in sculpture, they are often shown as bodiless heads. And that's the philosophical heritage of the West. We often blame René Descartes, who said, "I think, therefore I am," for the whole mind-body split, but he was only saying what all the philosophers had been thinking for a long, long time before him. Recently, though, we've started to realize that the body is actually part of the mind. There's no discontinuity between the brain and the rest of the nervous system. The nervous system connects the brain to the rest of the body, and through the senses and the muscles connects it to the world. It doesn't stop at the neck. It carries on. And throughout the body, the endocrine system produces chemical compounds which help to control various body processes. The crossover point in the middle of the brain is the hypothalamus. Nerve cells come in the top, and the bottom part produces chemical messages to the endocrine system. The hypothalamus is strongly linked to a lot of significant brain areas. It coordinates between the brainstem, which regulates breathing, heartbeat, that kind of thing, the emotion-related limbic system, the sense of smell, and the cerebral cortex, the thinking part of the brain, if you like. It responds to light, smell, blood chemistry, nerve signals from the heart, stomach, and reproductive organs, and also to stress. So here's my diagram based on Ernest Rossi's book, The Psychobiology of Mind-Body Healing. The left brain-right brain distinction is, of course, an oversimplification. But by speaking to someone and engaging their symbolic imagination, we bring up memories and associations, which in turn are linked to emotions. These emotions feed into the hypothalamus, which directs the nervous system, the immune system, hormones, and the small chemical messages called neuropeptides. And together these systems control functions at the level of our internal organs and cells. This is the part that we traditionally pay attention to as hypnotherapists or NLP practitioners. We use words and imagery to evoke memories, associations, and emotions for a therapeutic purpose. And this is the part that doctors traditionally pay attention to, although they often look at individual parts of the systems, rather than the systems as a whole and their interaction. But when we integrate the two together through the hypothalamus, the bridge in the brain, we can achieve mind-body integration. And through mind-body integration, we can have control of pain. There are at least a dozen ways to control pain using the mind-body link. I presented on them at a previous New Zealand Hypnotherapy Federation conference. I have a CD on my website with 7 of them, in fact. Breathing is something fairly obvious. We know we can control our breathing. But we don't always think of asthma as controllable without medication. Allergies and skin conditions respond very well to hypnosis in some people because their thoughts are able to adjust their physical reactions. I've worked successfully with someone with rosacea, for example, which is a skin condition that's affected in part by stress. Heart rate variability is correlated with the risk of heart attack, and it's quite straightforward to learn to control it through relaxation. A friend of mine teaches heart math, and she has a testing device for heart rate variability. You clip an electrode onto your ear and another one onto your finger. And I found with my background in self-hypnosis and meditation that I could quite easily get the device into the recommended zone, or get my heart rather into the recommended zone in a matter of a few seconds, and quite easily sustain it. Blood pressure rises when we get upset, we know that, but we can consciously relax and control it. And we can also control blood flow. Blushing is blood flow. It's an involuntary response to a thought and an emotion. But we can learn to consciously control blood flow for applications such as reducing bleeding, improving skin conditions, improving sports performance, and controlling our body temperature. The secret is that blood flow follows attention. For example, if you concentrate on your hands becoming warm, you can move blood to your hands, which is a good way of controlling some kinds of headaches, incidentally. So some useful techniques for clinical practice. Guided imagery, first of all. The imagery doesn't have to be medically accurate. There was a study done with children that showed that they could increase their immune system activity by imagining an army fighting off invaders. The brain seems to translate quite effectively into what the body needs to do to achieve a particular goal. One of my personal favourite images is the control panel. This is like a control booth at a concert or a radio station or a recording studio, with the sliders and the knobs. You get the client to use one of the controls with a range of 1 to 10, link it to whatever process they want to control, and first turn it up a bit to show that they've got control, and then turn it down. The control panel is often used for pain control, but I've also seen on video the late Gil Boyne using it for a temporary reduction in Parkinson's tremors, and I've personally used it successfully with a man who had excessive hunger as a side effect of medication. He managed to turn his hunger response down back into the normal range again. And direct suggestion can also work for some people. Just getting them to tell their bodies what to do. Again, the body, the mind, together know how to achieve a particular effect. Which brings us to the placebo effect. Telling people that an inactive medicine will help them seems to actually help them. The mind-body relationship goes in both directions, and I want to say a little bit about the intelligence of the digestive system. Your digestive system takes care of some very complex chemical processes with almost no supervision from your brain. The vagus nerve, a large nerve which runs between the internal organs and the brain, reports the state of the internal organs to the brain. It also signals in the other direction, but it's only 10 to 20% of its function. Mostly the brain trusts the digestive system to look after itself. If you bunched all the nerve cells in the digestive system together, you'd get something about the size of a cat's brain. Serotonin is a neurochemical closely linked to mood. SSRI antidepressants, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, work on the serotonin system. And most of your body's serotonin is actually produced in your digestive system rather than in your brain. There are also a number of other neurochemicals that are also used for often slightly different purposes within the digestive system. So that leads to a concept of food for mental health. We get our brain chemistry from what we eat. Our brains are made out of what we eat. That's why, for example, populations which eat fish are at reduced risk of bipolar disorder. Something in the fish is good for their brains. As another example, a diet that's low in tryptophan and high in phenylalanine, such as corn chips and Diet Coke, leads to tryptophan transport into the brain being reduced. The phenylalanine competes to get into the brain with the tryptophan. And a diet like that can produce increased aggression and depression in as little as 24 hours, because tryptophan is used to make serotonin, the mood chemical. This is one reason that we hear of dietary miracles when people change their way of eating, that they feel so much better that they're able to focus and concentrate in ways that they couldn't before. It's not that some foods are inherently wrong for everyone, but if our balance is off, changing our diet can help to bring about a change. So in conclusion, body and mind are a single system. The influence runs both ways, and we can make deliberate use of that in our therapeutic practice. And finally, my belief is that encouraging people to take conscious control of their physical health is a personal development issue. It's very much something that I encourage in my clients, and I hope you encourage with your clients as well. I'll leave you with these suggestions for further reading. Both of them are a few years old now, and there's been a lot of good recent work as well, but these are some classic texts that I suggest you get hold of and study if you're interested in mind-body interactions and the science behind them. Thanks very much, and please visit my website at hypno.co.nz for more on the mind-body link and how to use it.